What's going on, guys? This is Costi with PickDawgz, and we are in episode 15 of Tales from the Ticket. This show is a little bit different than anything else on this channel, whereas the normal live shows produce the free picks of the day and go over all the content. In this show, we do something a little bit different with Eric and myself, where we break down strategies. We do a lot of Q&A. We give you more of the lay of the land. Eric's looking at himself with the glasses, but yeah, it's a little bit different. So if you have any questions regarding betting strategies, or if you're new to the channel and you want to learn how to actually be a successful sports bettor without having to purchase anything, feel free to message in the comments, and we usually respond live on air. With that being said, Eric, what's up?
Preseason football. You excited? You going to the Ravens game tonight?
No. Not interested in.
So I noticed you booked a restaurant tonight. Now look at me. Have you ever seen me wear a collared shirt ever?
Yeah, I have. Not on the show. I have.
You had to book a place that I can't wear my cycling outfit. I can't just roll in like.
Oh, you got to you got to act professional just for today.
All right, just for today. Fine dining. I'm not into fine. Are you a big fine diner guy?
I've always enjoyed it. I'm not a
Mike is a foodie. Micah will fly over to States for food.
No, for me, look,
for you guys, we're entertaining a client. He's flying in. We're taking him to dinner. So Costi picked some bougie place that I got to wear. He just sent me that you can't basically dress like you normally dress. I'll see you tonight.
I mean, it was a nice way of saying, like, you're going to have to go home and change.
Exactly.
If you don't wear a collared shirt. No, I'm not a big, like, and I've been with back when last, I think it was a year ago. It was a year ago almost today. I mean, about a month from now, when we went to first week of NFL, and we went to that Michelin 3 or 4-star restaurant with Micah and Mitch. And listen, I mean, I'm not a big proponent of the experience of how the food looks and the presentation. I'm more into the taste, and I don't need a 17-course meal. I just need something that I want to choose off the menu that is made a certain way, that's prepared a certain way, that has the flavor. And that's most of the restaurants that I go to. I'm into that. So, but it was a cool experience sitting there when they keep bringing you these, presentations of food, and you're supposed to appreciate that. And I guess that's similar to people that appreciate art. I'm not a big art person, so everybody's got their own flavor. But in terms of
the sales pitch was amazing. As we create a memorable, unparalleled dining experience with our refined and elevated dining atmosphere, we ask that you keep in mind our business casual dress code when dining with us. Collared shirts are required for men. Jackets may be available upon request. The following items are prohibited: men's sleeveless t-shirts, tank tops, sweatpants, joggers. Clothing that is offensive, including but not limited to explicit language and graphics, exposed undergarments, and overtly revealing clothing. So, I didn't even know a place like that existed in this state, because I always laugh when people come into town. I go, "This is Baltimore. This is not not elevated dining experience." But with that being said, we are going downtown. We didn't plan. You booked a place downtown, and then we obviously have the Ravens game at the same time. Traffic.
Well,
we're on the other side. We're on the other side.
Yeah. No, we're not downtown.
It's not downtown. Alisana Street is not downtown.
Oh, that's funny. No, I thought we were going up to Oregon Grill.
No.
Oh, we did the Ruxton.
Right.
Oh, because somebody said they went there, they didn't like it.
Right.
No, the Ruxton's great.
So I'm saying traffic-wise, I forgot about the Ravens game.
There's no traffic. There's the opposite side of the stadium. and it's a preseason game. None of it matters.
So it's interesting. I gave out the Ravens for Al because that was Al's selection as his complimentary selection on his video. He's traveling plus 4.5 overnight. I see now, I'm looking at the DB screen. The line is now moved 2 points, 6.5. As we were talking about, from 2016 to 2023, the Ravens won 24 consecutive games, the longest winning streak in preseason. They covered 22 of the 24 games. Since then, they are 0-7 against the spread the last 7 games. So talk about a reversion to the mean. Al is bucking the reversion to the mean just as a complimentary selection. Obviously, nothing. If you're an All Access member or Al's premium service member, it's just a Al is very judicious about the fact that if he gives out a free pick on YouTube, it will never actually make it onto the service play, because he does have a point. It's not fair to those that actually pay and subscribe. Why? And it's not fair. So he just, anybody that goes crazy on a complimentary selection, you're not, you're not getting a service play. But with that being said, any reason, since you're the Raven guy, why this has been the biggest line move overnight of all 3 games?
Well, supposedly, they're basically saying that a lot of the starters will be playing for Indianapolis for a good portion of the first half. Still, I think in a preseason game on the road, for you to have a 7-point spread is astronomical. If somebody put a gun to my head and basically said, here, take this game, I wouldn't even blink and take the Ravens. And that has nothing to do with me being biased to the Ravens. If you guys have been on this show, on this channel over the last few years, I've faded the Ravens plenty of times. In the preseason, coaches make basically the outcomes more so than the players. Certain coaches just care more. Certain coaches bring it in the preseason and get their players ready for the preseason than others. Some coaches may go into it basically stating, you know what, we're just trying to get away from even playing any starters, and it's really a injury type of spot where we're trying to not have any injuries in the preseason. So they play it light, they don't play as aggressive, and the outcomes don't really matter to them. Whereas for whatever reason, the Ravens coaching staff always performs. And to have, and it's wild to have these big numbers. I mean, you look at Cincinnati 6.5, and the Raiders are 5. These are 3 road teams that are laying big wood, laying big numbers here. I don't know. If you, again, blindly told me to take it, Cincinnati supposedly playing their starters for a series or 2. I don't care. You're going to give me points at home with fans in the stands. I don't care if it's 3rd and 4th string guys in the second half. What do you think? It's going to be a blowout? Right now, blindly, I'm telling you, and I haven't made this bet. You guys could bet at your own risk, but blindly, 2-team parlay. Give me Baltimore money line, Philly money line.
I like it. Let me see what it pays. Let me log into one of my accounts. Let me log in here.
Plus 230.
NFL parlay.
Yeah, plus 230, plus 230. You can't beat that. And again, do I believe I have a substantial edge in the preseason? No. I mean, I have a lot of betting groups that we deal with that stay away from betting preseason altogether. You're probably, if you're a subscriber to any of my Telegram channels that we provide you plays on, you probably will not see a preseason game at all. But from the content of
10-1.
You know what?
100 pays a dime.
You know what? This guy, I've been trolling this guy all morning. and he thinks the
Oh,
shit
why don't you just send him the link and bring him on?
he could do it himself. It's a shit player
Where is he? Bring him on. Bring him on. Tell him to hit the button.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this hate.
Bring him on. Bring him on. Hate. Come on. Bring him on.
He could do it himself. He could pop on himself. He's Big Jay Briggs, man.
Come on, Jay. Where you
Jay,
at?
You can talk smack to me about Luka and the NBA and basketball together, maybe even WNBA. But come on, man. My talent radar has always been exceptional in the NFL. I was always able to rate talent. This is going back to my DFS and fantasy days where I do high stakes fantasy football. So I have to do, it has nothing to do with sports betting. I'm just giving you the other side of Costi, and has nothing to do with sports betting. I am a high stakes fantasy player season long. Not as much big on DFS as a couple of my close friends that are heavy DFS guys, but when I'm playing high stakes season long fantasy, I have to do draft grades on these players. I have to watch these players in college that then become rookies in the NFL. And am I going to take shots on these rookies in my season long fantasy? And look, not bragging, but I did win 2 leagues last year. Not bragging. I got very lucky with certain guys. And one of those guys was an elite tight end that came out of Georgia that happened to be on the Raiders that I got as a late draft pick. That was one of the best wide receivers in the league. So you got to give yourself, if you're going to do the homework, I believe Shador is ass. People could say here, and we've been talking about this. They were talking about it on the morning show. This is a guy that did nothing in college except throw the ball to a very talented wide receiver in Travis Hunter, Wester, who happens to be on the Ravens. They didn't run the ball. They played in a shit conference. And whenever they played really good schools in the bowl games, he didn't show up. And that's coming from a guy, I just think he's going to be an average, at best, NFL player. And if they decide to throw him in there as a starter week 1 on a horrible franchise, he's going to
getting sick. He's getting I don't know if he's going to play.
That's like we're going back to last week and Trey Lance was balling. Trey Lance will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
No, what I'm saying is he's starting the preseason game and he's +6 tomorrow.
Got me all fired up, man.
You hear me? Fade him. He's starting against Carolina tomorrow +6.
Zero reason to worry about the NFL right now in the preseason. We are dialed into baseball. I have 2 different groups right now. One of which is last 6 weeks has been in the green. 6 weeks of winning. You're talking about totals, sides, underdogs, favorites. He does them all. He breaks it down. For those that do follow him on the channel, he's the Mr. J Yang. I mean, he constantly comes with data that I would never have access to. Baseball's never been my sport. Most sports I don't even break down myself like you. We're just connected to large betting groups that just don't have the time in the day to deal with clients one-on-one. So what they choose to do is to give us their games in basically a trickle-down effect where they give us the plays, they tell us exactly the unit sizes to put on them, and then we then put them on the Telegram channels for our clients to follow with the right money management. So,
well, I'm 33-29 since the All-Star break, only betting underdogs plus 17.3 units. So
this is we'll finish your statement, then you can answer this.
So like, again, this is, again, like I was saying in my video today, I'm 6-6 this week, plus 2.4 units. I have people that will go to watch my videos and comment on the individual complimentary selection that I give out as a free system, talking about those games And people will put in comments, I really hope they win. And like, are you the guys? Since the All-Star break, betting a dime a game, you're up 17,300 and you're 33-29. You're only up 4 games. You're up 4 games. So how could you, like, I just prove it every year. Every year I just laugh at people that tell me how hard baseball is. You know, it's like a Ruffalo the other day when we were talking about that Miami game on the Monday night when I walked into the show. No, you know, just making a point. I was saying Miami's one of the worst favorites in all of baseball, beside the Pittsburgh Pirates, which are playing today. And, you know, his comment was, it doesn't matter because of the, and my response is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the pitcher is. Yeah, but that doesn't matter if Big Al gave out. Big Al is literally plus 507 units, football, basketball. He has a very low volume approach to baseball, 1 game a day maximum. He never has more than 1 game a day in baseball. And it's not what he's known for. All you got to do is head over to PickDawgz.com and look at the leaderboard and look at his volume in baseball. Looking at anybody who wants to invoke the words Big Al, we're not talking about baseball. We're talking about college basketball, college football, and NBA, and the NFL. Like football is baseball for him is to keep his mind interesting, to handicap through the football season. But he has there's no wealth creation with betting 1 game a day. You know, if you go to he gives you his best play that he has that day, whether it's a favorite or whether it's a dog, but it's meaningless to the overall equation of what Al does, because he's been killing it in CFL. He plays more CFL than he does baseball.
Well, and also from a sharp standpoint, if you just do the math year round, it's college basketball is always king for the most amount of profit. Why? It's the most amount of volume and has the highest edge with a line sport, meaning there's a spread on the game. Second is then going to be college football. Again, a multitude of teams, line sport, then NBA in third, then NFL in fourth, then baseball in fifth. I'm not counting the smaller market stuff like CFL and WNBA, because the reason why those sports are never high unit plays, even though as good as Al is in those sports, the limits are low. So he's never going to give out big numbers on games, meaning big units. And I'm simply talking about the all access here. He's not going to give out a 10-star rating on a CFL game, even if the system has it, because the clients that we have can't put down big amounts of money on CFL. So it's pointless. It's like it's more of an illusion that we would have high units. We're going to release high units on games where clients could actually get down $50K, $100K. We had a client for the Super Bowl that put down over $1 million on the play. I mean, this stuff is real. Like, this is not make-believe, show us a ticket and claim to bet this much.
Not to interrupt you, but the answer to Seth's question is a money management question. If you throw it back up there, is the mistake that most people make is it's not about winning a unit, it's about risking a unit. So the biggest mistake, gamblers are delusional, and I say this with all love, but it's what we call financial delusionality, which it's a word I just made up, which is
patheism.
It's a patheism. If you have a 1 unit play, so we're going to say you're risking 1%, which is $1,000 on $100,000 bankroll. All you care about, if you're a professional bettor like Al or myself or Costi or Micah or anybody we deal with, is not what you win. You never care about what you win. You care about what you lose. So a 1 unit play, when he says bet a regular unit on it, yes, you're betting $100 to win $40. You're not betting $160 to win $100. The second you bet to win $100, you already corrupted the money management system. So the reason why I am a money-making, printing money machine when it comes to baseball is I'm always risking 100 to win more, right? I'm always risking 100 to win more. But if I play a favorite, which I do sometimes for my groups, I just lay the 1 unit and win less. So I care that when I lose, if I'm going to bet a dog for $100 and I lose, I'm going to lose $100. If I bet a favorite, regardless of what the line is, for $100, I'm going to bet the favorite for $100. And if I lose, I'm going to lose $100. I'm going to lose the same amount, whether I bet a dog or whether I bet a favorite, where most gamblers will do the complete opposite. And let's look at the Seattle game today. So Seattle is minus 278. So you can't say, if you bet Seattle for a 1 unit, you can't say I'm betting $278 to win 100. No, you're betting $100 to win $27 or $33 or whatever it is. So that's the difference. It's always risk, not win. Risk, not win. You bet a $200 favorite, you're risking the same $100 to win $50. The reason why gamblers' math is always fuzzy is because they always lose more than they're risking. They always say, oh, I'm betting a unit. No, you're not. If you're betting a unit on Seattle and you're betting to win $100, you're not betting a unit. You're betting 3 units. Your unit just became 3 units. Make sense?
It's always, you always have to, like you always say, reverse engineer this stuff. It's the mindset. Like, we get a lot of calls because we're the only 2 people on the platform that actually take calls and qualify people into these programs that are bigger than just the same amount on every game. So a lot of people make the statements of, I bet $1,000 a day. But what is that off of? What's the backbone of the bankroll? Well, I only keep a couple thousand in the account, and if I do good, I pull money out, and if I do bad, I reload 1,000 at a time. I'm not saying that style. I'm not going to tell somebody don't do it. I'm just going to give you the best advice, which is it's very hard for you to have longevity in the sports betting business if you have limited funds. Meaning, if we have on an average Saturday with college football 17 plays, that on a total of those 17 games, you have about 50% risk of your bankroll. Well, if you think you want to bet 200 a game, you better have at a minimum 10,000 in risk on that average Saturday. Some people look at that and say, well, I don't want to have 10,000 in risk. What they're not understanding is it's not 10,000 in risk on one game. It's across the board of 17 plays, and we might make a 10 to 12 to 13 to 20% return on that 10,000. Our job is to compound as much money as possible. Like, for those that are new, an average sports betting syndicate in a football season will make around 8 to 10% on their money on the high end. So if they risked $1 million in total wagers on the high end, they're happy to make 100K. If you only turn over 20,000, 30,000, well, then you're looking to only make.
Yeah, but here's what I would say to you. And we talk about a lot of the stuff, we repeat ourselves in the past. The reality is, this is what I told our good friend Troy. My job is not to convert people to. I'm not here to proselytize how to be the 1%, right? I just expect that 99% of all people that wager for the concept of taking a little bit of money, turning it into a large amount of money. So we already know, and this is where in the past it comes across disagreeable to the people watching when we're trying to educate them, because you can take the position. Like I always say this, when I read the comments, and Mitch was great, he's be kind to one another. When I read the comments and you see the amount of emphasis that people put into the complimentary selection that I'll give out on a YouTube video, instead of getting irritated, I just surrender and say there's a reason why we have a small percentage of people that are Dime Club members, that are syndicate members. So for anyone watching this content in any of its regurgitated form, it couldn't be easier to win. It is the easiest thing to do betting sports. Like it's easier than the stock market. It's easier than crypto. It is literally the easiest thing to do. This round thing between the two ears is the hardest thing to overcome, right? So what I want to try to do going into the football season is not really proselytize about. We already know that most people aren't going to do. 99% of the people aren't going to do. They're going to call us. They're going to tell us they have 500 or 1,000 in their account. We're going to say, have a great, blessed day. Go over to PickDawgz.com, buy daily picks from the handicappers till you're ready to come back. There's only a certain amount of core constituency that gets it, right? And so my job isn't to convert those people, because the reality is when you have gold, like I was explaining to somebody on the phone, the guy goes, well, you're not being very helpful. And I go, no, it's not that I'm not being very helpful. You want me to convince you. And there's nothing for me to convince. The minute somebody calls me up and tells me I do pretty good in X sport, but I don't do good in Y sport, I'm going to keep doing what I do in X sport. Can you help me with Y sport? I go, I'm really, it's all good. Head over to PickDawgz, buy the selections online from your favorite tapper, because the reality is nobody goes to the gym one day a week and expects to have any change in their physique. And so this is a very boring, grueling game that only a small percentage of people get. And the reality is you don't need to have money to learn from us. Malik said, if I had money to learn and be a member, I'd easily do it and learn from y'all. We give out so much free information. All you have to do is go watch all the videos for free. Rewatch these as they're archived online, because like I explained to people, like a couple weeks ago, Costi, I was like on an 0-8 streak on the one complimentary selection, that I'm randomly pulling out from a system. And here I'm winning every single day since the All-Star break, literally printing money. So like, for instance, Nick said, in regards to Patty's MLB dog system, do you up? No. Right now, you bet 62 games. You've made $17,300. 62 times 0.29 is $17,998. So you've made 29% return on risk since the All-Star break. But if you're someone that says, well, I don't want to bet 6 games like I did yesterday, or I don't want to bet 5 games like I did the day before, or I don't want to bet 4 games then that's unfortunate. What I tell people, especially with football, is because everything is compartmentalized in that they think they're going to make all their money in 2 days. They think they're going to make all their money in 2 days. Forget about the fact that you and I know that most people have unrealistic expectations, because it's not their fault. They've been duped by social media and the marketing from the legal sports books in the states where it's legal, where everything is about hitting a big parlay. And it's like, I'm not disrespectful to anybody. There's people here on PickDawgz that are really good prop bettors. But as you and I both know, there's no limits in props. That's why syndicates don't really focus on props. It's
if you're a sharp bettor with props, your chances of your account getting limited are much greater than any other thing that you do pregame. So if you're constantly finding that over under on pitching strikeouts or bases,
like the nerf fees and all this stuff,
it's all about if you're finding value and you're constantly beating the global market. So if you're on FanDuel and you're constantly getting the best price on those particular bets, your account is probably going to get flagged a lot quicker than if you bet it and forget it on not preseason, but a lot of the football that we bet is days before the actual event. Why do we do that? Because the groups that we deal with are constantly trying to find the best market price. Meaning, if I, for
real
example,
quick, I want to real quick. Because we're getting some good questions here. Colin, you can throw Colin's question up.
why you cut me off, man?
Because I know what I'm had a lot of. I just got off the bike. Just had 5 espressos. This was the last one. The answer is, if you're playing correctly, you don't really need a lot of books. So the answer is baseball. The way you make more money in baseball, remember, is if you can get a dime line or a 5-cent line instead of a 20-cent line. So the spread on a favorite, because remember, I'm always playing dogs. So for instance, right now, when I'm looking at the global market on Seattle is minus 278 plus 248 in one book. They're minus 315 plus 235 in another book. Think about that, Kazi. Minus 278 plus 248 is a 30-cent spread. Minus 315 plus 235. So if you're at that book, you're getting beat up because you're getting less than the 245, 44, 48. And the other guy on the other side is laying a bigger spread, right? So the way you make more money is in baseball is to find where the difference, the spread between the dog and the favorite is the lowest, which is what we call a 10-cent line. But you don't need a lot of books, because the whole way we play is we're realizing we deal with a lot of clients that are limited to, especially in Florida, Hard Rock. They're limited to the Hard Rock. They have the lock on the Hard Rock. Yeah, you can go offshore as well. The bigger issue is determining what your bankroll is before the season starts and saying, this is the amount of money I'm setting aside. I don't see much success in starting with a little and then adding this is whole building and growing. I'm not in the horticulture gardening business. There's no gardening, right? There's no putting a seed in the pot. This is nonsense. Like, when I say I'm up $17,000 since the All-Star break betting dogs in baseball, I'm risking 62% of my principal bankroll, which means the only way I'd be betting $1,000 on a game is risking 1% of $100,000. So I've spun through 62% of the principal bankroll of $100,000 at the All-Star break, which is now $117,000. So, but I've had days where I've had 9 games, 10 games. And so when you're playing that kind of volume, the whole concept is to keep bet. The biggest thing that I can tell people, regardless of how much money you think you need, is to think in percentages, not dollars. Because, like, let's be honest, Costi, the Dime Club is a joke. It's $250 a week. Somebody goes online and pays a dime for a month. Every single guy that watching this video that says they're a small player is betting more than $500, $600, $700 a day in action on average. Yeah, you have the one outlier or whatever, right? A lot of people, like I said, it's gambler's fallacy. They kind of trick themselves. They're not betting a lot, right? When they're really betting a lot. It's like the other day you had that client call. He's a futures trader. He has 6 figures in his futures trading account. And then I said, well, how much do you have in your 5 sports books? And he says 3,000. I said, there's nothing for us to talk about. You're underfunded. You don't have enough money in your account. There's no point in purchasing a product if you're underfunded. I have products I can sell you if you only have $3,000. But the reality, the Dime Club is like, think about it. You're betting $100 a game. You paid a dime for a month at the All-Star break. You're betting $100 a game on a $10,000 bankroll. You're up $1,700. So you've already covered your dime and you're up $700, risking $6,200 of your $10,000. So you have to think percentages. But back to football, what I was going to say to you is that people get excited about football because they have an opinion and they don't really understand that I would love to be like an NFL player or a college football player and just like work 2 days a week. like I've done videos with Al. Al does not sleep. Literally from the first week of September to the last week of April. Like if it was all about the NFL getting everybody up in a tizzy, like no major betting syndicate is going to make a huge amount of money in NFL, because even if you're the best guy in the NFL, you're 55, 60%. And again, like I said, if you look at last year at PickDawgz, I think it was Tony T was the number one guy on the leaderboard. Let's see if I'm wrong. NFL. Last year's stuff is, here it is. It's not, okay. Tony T it was like he had like 80 games. The whole season, 16 weeks, right? Like, I've already had, think about that. 80 games in the NFL season. I've already had 62 games in 3 weeks in baseball, Costi.
Mm-hmm.
So volume is king. I think if people can get their head wrapped around the more bets you make, the better, the more chance you have to win, regardless of what the sport is. How many tennis matches do I have today, Costi? Did you count them?
I have not.
10. So if you're on my underdog, if you're on my tennis Telegram channel, you got 10 bets this morning. 10. It's alliteration. 10 tennis matches. So, like, nobody's texting me going, man, you have 10, you have to. It's just volume. And it's like I said, this is the easiest way to basically, everybody says, like, respectfully, I wish I had the money to learn from you one-on-one. I'm telling you now for free. It costs you zero. Volume. There you go. I just gave you the ticket to financial freedom. 1% volume.
Here, I'll answer this one. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. Are you a personal handicapper? So you're just trying to not bet, because really you should never take a week off if you're doing it consistently. You just have to, again,
people travel and do stuff.
Well, he's just saying if he takes a week off to track the games and results. The reality is you can get money down anyway. It really goes back down to bankroll money management. Because people that are betting,
he said he went on vacation, like he said.
Got it. Okay.
No, the answer is you noticed that when I said to you, I'm 33-29 plus 17-3 in baseball since the All-Star break, I never mentioned teams or results or records. You're tracking. Okay. Past performances is no indication of future results. Handicapping, for the sake of if you just mentally are playing a game, if I was picking my own winners, how would I do? Great. But in the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what's your P&L. And that's the funny part is when I talk to gamblers on the phone and inquire, and again, we're talking, this is my 39th, it's hard to believe, 39th September. 39th consecutive September doing this for a living. Now, when I ask clients, they'll say, like, I'm a really good handicapper. I'm 74% and so-and-so and so-and-so. What are you up? I don't know. So the tracking is in the money, not in the results, not in the games, it's like, there's no tracking in results, because again, I get the whole intellectual. If it's fun, if you're doing it, track games and results. There's no reason to. You have computers. It's all there. You can just Google. Plus, those results aren't going to help you for the next bet. Now, I understand everybody has a different way of doing things. I've been very hardcore in the past, Costi, which is bordered on the line of dismissive to people that are what I call amateur handicappers. Mm-hmm. It's really not my intention. It's that when you call and you ask for help, and then I'm on the phone with you, and you're respecting that this is what I do for a living and you do something completely different for a living. In the past, I could be overly truthful, which would come across rude. It's like, I look at this perfect example. If you have a trainer that you hire to work you out, right? You pay him, correct?
Correct.
So would you argue with him why he's telling you what exercises to do and how to do them and get yourself? Do you ever say to him, I don't want to do this, or why are you having me do this? Or
No.
Or you just may say, I'm paying this guy and I'm here for an hour.
I'm paying the expert, so if I'm going to take that advice.
It's the same thing here. Like when I tell people, the most irritating thing that I tell gamblers on the phone is winning is easy. It blows their mind. Yeah, winning is easy. But then I left out the most important part. I didn't say when. I didn't say winning today was easy. I said winning was easy. Winning is easy. But everybody wants to win today. Nobody wants to ride the roller coaster ride. Nobody wants to handle the drawdowns. Nobody wants to handle the pullbacks. So when you're dealing with professional bettors that are desensitized because the volume desensitizes you. 62 games, I've watched none of them since the All-Star break. 62 games, I've simply bet, woke up, and checked the scores the following day. 10 tennis matches today, won't look at one of them. Don't care how I lost. Don't care how I won. Just what did I do at the end of the day? What did I do? Did I win? Did I lose?
And I get that when you're watching this show, we're completely different than anybody else on this platform. Most of the people on this platform are game watchers, and that's okay. But there's so many different, like, if you guys watched last week when Big Al McMorty was a guest on our show, he explained that there's so many different ways to peel the onion with sports betting. Everybody could have a completely different approach and can have a successful P&L. Al is not a big game watcher. You'll talk to him about a game. He's not watching games. He's monitoring the data that he then manually inputs, and then he creates his own line, it's funny that Kelly just brought that up. Al creates his own line on the game. And when he sees it advantageous to the actual spread that's on the market going rate, he then has an advantage versus the market because he creates his own spreads based on his data that he has. How many years, Eric?
46.
46 years of data. Intellectual data that nobody else except a couple people as partners have access to. The leaderboards prove it.
And for anybody watching, he's glad to sell you access to the data. Minimum price tag to start the negotiations via me was $5 million. And I'm not joking. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, at the end of the day, most people don't want to do the work because, listen, at the end of we talk about this. Al is a anomaly in this industry and in life. He's going to work. He's going to outwork everybody. That's just him. And he's going to run his data. He's going to run it. He's going to run it no matter what. He's going to put out games at 4 or 5 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So he's putting them out at 2 a.m. West Coast, where he is and he resides. And we then produce that exact product that you could purchase, Big Al's All Access, where you're getting the same lines that Al wants you to bet. And if you watch those lines throughout the morning and the afternoon, by the time 3-4 hours pass, the lines have moved by 2-3 points.
Well, and then the other thing is for what I call daily, use the word daily fantasy league earlier when you were talking about fantasy football, DFS. So when you're a professional bettor, you're not a daily bettor anymore. So that's why you have to have the right bankroll. When I say the right bankroll, people get confused. People, like a lot of people, even on this chat, have mentioned, like, if I had the money. Everybody has the money to do this correctly. It's, are you betting percentages? Or are you betting dollar amounts? If you have $1,000, you have enough money to do this correctly. You just have to understand you have to bet $10 a game. You may not like to hear that, but you have enough. If you have $1,000 and you're betting more than 10, and you're betting more than $10 a game, you're betting incorrectly, right? So the reality is that you're betting games on Tuesday and Wednesday for Saturday and Sunday in football. If you're using the Dime Club or using Big Al's All Access or using Micah, and I'm going to be launching a product that's going to make a lot of people excited that are my baseball clients, which we'll talk about before we end the show in the last 5 minutes. But you have to be able to tie up capital. So if you have $1,000 in an account, or $10,000 in an account, or $100,000 in an account, you have to understand that 70 to 80% of your wagers for Saturday and Sunday are made on Tuesday and Wednesday. So therefore, you have to have enough money left over for the actual individual days before Saturday and Sunday. If you can't tie up all your money for Saturday and Sunday and then have nothing for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this whole like concept of waiting till the day of the game, because like what Kelly said, the lines aren't going to move if you're betting them the second he puts them out. And that's
the first. We don't suggest doubling.
And we don't suggest, no, because the reality is in one individual game doesn't really matter, right? Like this is the whole like 120 versus 507. You know, you make 120 units if you bet all his games straight for a year. You make 507 units on the same games plus the late updates. So that's the thing, like Kelly's question is, a lot of Al's systems, he has trigger alerts when a line moves. So where the traditional way of betting is you're trying to bet before the line moves, a lot of times Al is waiting for a line to move. For instance, he has an underdog and it's plus 9.5, and he has a trigger. It's not a bet till it moves to 10. He'll wait literally all day long. And the minute the trigger goes out, it'll be bet and then sent out on Telegram. At 9 in the morning, it was, oh, it's only a half a point. What's the difference? It's a big difference. He's waiting for it to hit 10. And so therefore, he's waiting for that game to be triggered, which is about 60. It was about 50 to 60 additional plays on Telegram last year that you couldn't get because he can't put them in early in the day because there's no volume at 8 in the morning Los Angeles time or 11 a.m. For people that don't know, on PickDawgz, because we have people global, you have to have the cutoff where everybody puts their plays in at the same time. So the cutoff is 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific. And then therefore, if there's any triggers on any system plays, you can't do it. You're done. You're locked out of the system. You can't enter any plays until the next day. So when you're dealing with real life movement on these screens, you have to a lot of times wait for games to be triggered. But the reality is, again, most people like to wake up in the morning. 99% of gamblers wake up in the morning with no pending bets in their account, a new balance based upon did they win or lose yesterday, and now they have a blank sheet of paper for today, and they can start figuring out which games to bet on. But as a professional, you actually never have a clean account. So as a professional, like I'm betting 10 tennis matchups today and tomorrow. Half of those bets are for the 8th. Half of those bets are for the 7th. So it doesn't. So when I say I have 10 tennis bets today, it doesn't mean that I have 10 tennis bets today. It means I put in 10 tennis bets today, of which half are for the 8th, half are for the 7th. So now when I wake up tomorrow morning, regardless of what happens today, I still have those 5 bets pending. Then I have to work with the allocated capital outside of that. So that's the big difference when it comes to this clean sheet of paper scenario where you just want to like start the day fresh. It's the difference between being a day trader that's flat at the end of the day in the market and being a swing trader that's always carrying positions in their stock portfolio.
I'll answer this one. No, we don't take dogs in overtime. You just don't. We always say when you're in overtime, you don't want to have the dog in overtime. That's college. It doesn't matter what sport it is. College basketball, NBA, NFL, college football. It's just, it's not really a specific system or there's nothing to bet. The bet's made before the game starts. But if it does go to overtime, you just don't want to have the dog in overtime. More times than not, the favorite ends up winning. But again, you're not controlling that outcome. It just is what it is. Happens a lot more in college basketball and NBA, simply because the games go to overtime a lot more in basketball than they do in football anyway.
Is King Taper talking about me? Did you see?
No, it was a positive comment.
No, I'm saying like yeah, but with the aggressive part is I don't think I'm aggressive if he's talking about me. I think that
I would say passionate,
right? Like there's a I'm not going to mention any location. There's a gentleman that he loses like $2 million every football season betting on his own, and then he calls me at the beginning of every football season. And again, $2 million to him is like $2 to you. So nobody's pulling out the violin, right? It's all relative, right? Eric, I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to do it correctly this year. Let's roll. And then I get aggressive. I'm like, we're in like year 9 of this. Like you're down like 18 million over the last like 9 years. Like, no. I'm going to send you your money, your fee. We're going to do it correct. And I already know I get aggressive because I'm like, listen, we already know that you're going to just deviate because you love the action, and it's okay to just love the action. So it's like for all those people out there that love the action, you basically I was listening to CNBC the other day, Costi, and FanDuel or DraftKings reported their earnings. It was yesterday or the day before. And they said, due to the fact that nobody wins betting sports, they're basically, think of how crazy that is. They're literally telling you, as a financially traded public company, our stock shares are going up, our profits are going up because none of you win. Now, when they say none of you, they mean 99% of you, not the 1% of you. So my thing is, if I'm living in an ecosystem where I can open up a stock trading account and I can buy shares of a publicly traded sports book, and I can go without worrying about handicapping, just read the financials. Where does all their profits come from, Costi? Where does not some
parlays?
All, every dollar, not $1 comes from somebody losing a straight bet. No matter how much you bet on a game and you lose and you think the sports book beat you, they made nothing off you because there's someone on the other side who bet the same game and the difference. You lose 1,000, there's somebody else that won 1,000. Literally, you take away parlays, all the sports books go broke. But then I'll have people tell me, I really enjoy betting parlays. So my new answer is going to be from now on, my answer is go Google one of these publicly traded companies, read their statement after they post their earnings of how they made all their money. Maybe that will show you how these companies make money. They make no money from people betting and losing on a straight bet. So then why should I have to sit there and explain them? So again, in the past, I would be overly aggressive. Now I'm like, we live in this information world where everybody can see how a sports book wins money or loses money. This whole like nonsense that you see on Twitter, like there'll be like a week, there'll be like a 3-week period where all the favorites will win in the NFL. And then people go, the books must be getting crushed. No, they're not, because everybody's still parlaying. Right. No, they're not. I don't care if every favorite wins on a Sunday. It's good news, but the reality, there's somebody in there that screwed it up with a parlay because instead of going 8-2, he just had a 10-teamer. So I'm getting smoother and softer in my old age because, again, the information, it's never This is the secret. It has never been so easy to figure out how sports books make money and how gamblers lose money. And then you can reverse that. It's never been so easy to figure out how gamblers make money and sports books don't make money. You have literally the information age where you have everything at your fingertips. Regarding, real quick, I know we have 5 minutes left. For all those guys that are on my Underdog channel, I started doing it last year on a small, I waited till like the end of the season. 30 to 40% of dogs in basketball and football win outright. This is another thing people don't understand, right? Forget covering, win outright. We've had David Miller on the shows. He'll say, congratulations to all money line winners. So like there's a rule among professional betting circles. When you play an underdog in football, we'll just use that as an example, Costi. You never want to bet on a dog if you're handicapping on your own and you're not a subscriber to one of our services. This is a good personal strategy. You never want to bet on a dog because you think it's too many points and that you expect the dog to lose but cover. That's a defeatist way of wagering. What you want to do is what pros do. You only want to bet on a dog where you're also going to put some money on the money line because you believe that dog has, in addition to covering, an opportunity to actually do the upset, which really isn't an upset because they went outright 30 to 40% of the times. So just like I'm only playing underdogs in baseball, I'm going to be launching an underdog money line only football basketball channel where the same groups that do the baseball, i.e. risking $1 to win more than $1, are going to be, I'm going to have, I'll be 45% to 50% at the end of the season. And I'll be up a ton of money because people don't realize, 30. Now, the issue is with big dogs in football, college football, a lot of times you can't get the true odds. So like a team will be plus 30 points and they'll like have a money line of like plus 1,100. They're just robbing you at that point. Right. So you're trying to get a money line that actually is in coordinates with what the line should be. But usually when you get up to a certain point, they actually pull the money line off the board and they don't even give you an opportunity to bet it. You get more of those opportunities in college basketball. But the reality is, like I said, a lot of money is made from professional betting syndicates betting money lines. So, for me, if I'm betting a plus 10 in a football game and I can get $1,100 or $1,000 on the money line, I might go 900, 100 versus just betting the whole dime on the plus 10. So there's going to be a channel exclusively for that. It's from one of my major betting syndicates. That's all they do. And it'll be fun. But again, you're going to lose more than you win. But when you win more than you lose because of the odds.
Yeah, it's football for me. I love Saturdays. It's where a lot of money is made. There's so many different sub-market conferences which we attack. They're not added games like it is in college basketball. So you're able to get big limits down because then that's a whole nother animal when we get to college basketball. But NFL, for us, for all those that know.
Put up Kelly's comment.
It's a harder sport to beat than others, but you could beat it if you're worried about beating it on Sunday. It's just on a pro betting cycle or a circuit, you have 7 days to attack the markets. You're only attacking the markets on Sunday where you get the volume. So it's a beatable sport. We were net positive in the NFL last year. It just, unfortunately, you only get 1 day to do it.
I want to answer Nick before we end the show. Yeah, Kelly, we can talk about it. I might scare him though. Look at me.
I say no.
Nick, no. The answer is that's an illusion, complete illusion. Without sports, without parlays, they lose money. The edge, the sports book, 10% after expenses is about 2%. So to run a sports book and pay everybody and pay all the staff, there's this illusion that you win $100 and then somebody wins $100 and they make $10. Technically, they're making 10% as the currency trader to transact the money from the winners to the losers. It's not true because, first of all, not every game is even. I'm going to make this analogy to everybody that understands us, even though we went a little over. Think of the sports book like the dartboard. Think of the sports bettor as the one throwing the darts. How is it that the dartboard always wins? Because you would think if I have 10 darts in my hand and I get to pick and I get to throw the dart, I'm going to kill that sports book. So what happens is this concept of even money on the VIG. First of all, there's never even money on the VIG geographically. Because of the legalization of sports betting, for instance, if you have a legal sports book in Chicago, they're going to be heavier on the Bears. If you have a sports book in Maryland, they're going to be heavier on the Ravens. If you have a sports book in Northwest Pennsylvania, they're going to be heavier on. There's no way you're going to get even action on the Ravens game if you're a legal sports book here in Maryland tonight. It's impossible. More people are going to bet on the Ravens. So when you take the geography of all these different states, it's always lopsided, which is why if a New York team is in the Super Bowl, the biggest lopsided Super Bowls have been when a New York team is in the Super Bowl, because the amount of money wagered in the Northeast surpasses anywhere else in the country. So if the Giants are in the Super Bowl, I'm using that as an example, not the Jets, obviously. If the Giants are in the Super Bowl, anytime the Giants have been in the Super Bowl, and I don't know how long it's been, Costi, it was like this. The sports books were literally had the biggest bet against the Giants. They couldn't get even on the Giants. It's just, there's no way. So when you understand those dynamics of regional wagering, there is no even. You take away the parlays, the sports books make zero money. VIG is an illusion.
Well, there you have it, guys. 1 hour of power went by very quick today. As always, Eric, thank you again. We will be here next week, same time, 1 o'clock. Turn on your notifications. We're always here. We'll have episode 16. In the coming weeks, we're going to have more guests come on, more professional betting groups, give you guys more strategy talk. If you want to speak to either Eric or myself and you want to learn about the opportunities of being under our wing, starting with football season, which is, again, an illusion where we're doing well right now with a lot of volume with baseball. Football just adds the volume, which anytime you add to the pie, you're going to make more money because you're spinning more bets. So the description below has the Dime Club. That is Eric's cell phone number. You can call him. We'll set up a consultation for any one of you that's interested. Otherwise,
I won't be aggressive.
He won't be aggressive. So we'll be back here again, same time. We will, as Mitch always said, we will try to act more professional next week.
I'm going to wear that coat tonight.
And as Eric always says, good day and good luck.